were you pleased with yesterday's performance, give or take the sort of inability rather of Max to actually put a fast lap in?
We learned some aspects that we have to improve for sure. Clearly, we were not perfect, and what is done for the Friday. To be honest, what I was pleased and what the team was pleased was more the long run pace that was quite interesting for us. It's more on the one lap we have clearly to improve the car for that.
Well, that bodes well then for Sunday, where your drivers are going to have to battle through the field. How are you approaching qualifying to put them in the best place?
I think try to do at the top as possible, because it will be +5 for Max and +10 for Sergio. That clearly less car to be overtaking during the race is quite good for us. But Ferrari looks very quick in the long run too. Then it will be a very difficult Sunday. Doesn't matter about the position.
And in terms of the penalties you're taking, does this give you confidence that you can make it to the end of the season now without having to take any more? Give or take reliability?
Yeah, we hope so, yes. Clearly is the purpose of this penalty, to finish the season without more.
Well, first of all, I'd just like to hear how you found Nick's performance to be yesterday.
So Nick, both when he came to drive for us in the simulator, seat fit and all that side of things, and at the track, has been the ultimate professional. He's obviously a very competent and experienced driver, really, having driven for a couple of other Formula One teams already this year. We explained to him we had a certain test plan of information we were trying to gather, and he was really happy to just get on and get us that data. So yeah, it's been fun having him in the office. He knows, quite a lot about how to get the most out of a race car.
Fantastic. And then in terms of your race car, what were the challenges yesterday that you were facing in terms of its setup?
Having been quite competitive and happy with the balance of the car in Zandvoort, here very different requirements. The drivers were struggling a bit braking to start off with into turn 1 and turn 4 to give the drivers the confidence. But also our performance in Sector 3 wasn't as good as we wanted it to be, both in the performance running and the high fuel long run. So we worked on that during the day, didn't make enough progress, but overnight we've been working very hard, both here and a team of engineers back at the factory, to attack the balance issues largely we were having, and we're hopefully in free practice 3 we'll be able to test some of those theories out and hopefully be a bit more competitive.
And in terms of your rear wing, have you decided on the direction that you want to go in?
Yes, so we obviously came with quite an aggressive rear wing. It's actually a version of the Spa wing. There's some common parts to it. So we really were chasing some straight line speed yesterday. We've got a few more tests planned in free practice 3, so I'll know better by the end of today.
I wondered if you could explain a little bit more about what we heard on the radio in terms of deployment, what that really means for your car and the performance.
You've got a fixed amount of energy that you can spend around the lap, which is very relevant in qualifying. When you get into the race, it's a case of how much can you harvest, and then that's what you're deploying. And the onboard systems on the car will take care a lot of that decision on the harvesting and the deployment for the drivers. It's very difficult to optimize it any other way, and it was only when we set off on the long run those optimization routines were just balancing themselves out. So George was just commenting that it was starting to harvest in different points going into the same corner lap after lap. That was moving around, and it is just the onboard optimization taking care of it.
So does that affect you more in quali trim or in race pace?
This was a race specific issue that we can do a lot of it offline in simulation, but then sometimes when you get to the track, the speed profile is not quite what you expected, so there's a bit of tweaking to be done.
Okay. In terms of how you're running the car, we obviously saw the car bouncing a little bit yesterday. Have you found a way overnight to hopefully change that for today's running, or is that how you need to run the car?
It's not, that element's not really causing a big issue. There's quite a few areas of the track that are bumpy. And to be honest, if you try too hard to solve the issues where it's just the track surface undulates too much, you end up making a slower car overall. The bit where you gain all the lap time is in the corners really, and the corners here are reasonably smooth. So there are some changes that we'll make, but the bigger area we're focused on is just the balance and working out how to get that into a better window.
And just finally, I was talking to the guys yesterday, and I've heard that it's George's turn to decide where he goes in qualifying.
Yeah.
So how are you going to orchestrate it, choreograph it? Is it worth trying to set up a toe at this track?
Well, yeah, you don't need to be an engineer to work out that George will decide to go second. So that is quite predictable. There's a lot of teams that are actually serving engine penalties, and it may be that some of them are using the car with a penalty to tow anyway. You generally don't want to be first car out here because that will be a penalty. But saying that, we were one of the last cars in Zandvoort, and then both of ours got tripped up by Sergio's yellow flag at the end. So there's a bit of a balance as to where you want to be, but most will be trying to get mid pack. As you say, there is a benefit from the tow here, but you also want to get your tyres in the right window.